Hi, this is Scott Atkinson, and this is my technology integration project for EDU 573. I teach at an adult alternative ed program, and I teach social studies, and one of the classes that I'm in charge of is a career education class, and the course is designed to get students thinking about their future, like their future job and or career avenues. And the big assignment that they have to do for this class is a portfolio, which includes writing a cover letter, developing a resume, and creating a references page. I found that a lot of students have never done this prior to my class, and that it's kind of an overwhelming project because they don't know where to start or how to design one or what to even include in their portfolio. And I've had handouts that I've used in the past, and I do one-to-one instruction with them, but I end up finding there's a lot of student confusion, and it's just led to a lot of extra unnecessary work. So the premise of my lesson plan and my technology integration was to kind of get something in place that gave easy instructions, cohesive instructions. It made it so that I didn't have to go over the same directions with students every time they got to the portfolio portion of their class. Because the thing is, all my students are working independently, and so I might have 10 students in career ed in one class hour, 5 in another, so on and so forth, and they all get to the portfolio at different times. And so I end up having to do these instructions several times, and it's, I don't know if I'm leaving something out ever, or if they're not getting solid instructions because I'm off my game one particular day. So I wanted something that was consistent, and I knew was going to be good every time. So what I did is I created a series of PowerPoints that I then screencasted. I used screencast-o-matic.com, and I posted those onto YouTube, and I linked them onto my classroom website so they can be easily found and accessed anytime. And then I've also got the PowerPoints as they are standing alone, so if I wanted to do a lesson integrated into my class ever, or a group lesson or a small group lesson, I could do that as well. So some of the technology I chose to beef up this assignment was, naturally I'm using Microsoft Word for both my handouts, and the students are using it to develop their portfolio. Microsoft PowerPoint, which I used for all of the lessons that I created for each of the components. I used a Web 2.0 tool, which is YouTube, to publish my screencasts so that students could access them on mobile devices or tablets, laptops, anytime, anywhere. So it's almost like a flipped lesson, so to speak. The Screencast-O-Matic is the software that you use to record the videos initially before publishing them to YouTube. I've linked them all on my classroom website. And then if I were to ever do a whole class or group lesson, I have a interactive whiteboard with a projector in my classroom that I would use so that all students could easily see the PowerPoints. So my 3 objectives here were: students will create a cover letter to an employer as a means of displaying their job and career interest and skills to potential employers. Students will develop and or update a resume, as some students come in with a resume on hand. And then students will create a references page, which will host their work-related references. I had to do some digging to find the curriculum standards, but I did find them on the MDE website, and so there's actually a standard set for career and employability skills. It's a little dated, and I think nowadays a lot of this falls under the English language arts curriculum. and with the introduction of Common Core, I'm not even really sure where they'd fall in. So these standards, I did find them, but they are a little dated. And so I'm not really sure if they're going to be continued once Common Core gets initiated, if it does get initiated in the state of Michigan. So there are 3 standards that encompass developing a portfolio that I was able to find. Again, due to the complexity of creating a portfolio, it ended up turning into more of a 4 mini lesson plan series. I decided that there's no way I could get through all of it in one day and in one lesson plan. And also due to the nature of my program and the number of students I may or may not have in any given class hour taking career ed, and who may be on the actual portfolio portion of their class, I just thought it best to break it up. So it's more of an individual direct instruction. If I were to do these lessons as a group, small group, or whole class instruction, I figured they'd take about 15 to 20 minutes to get through. And I've structured my lessons in this PowerPoint as if I was doing a whole group lesson or instruction. So basically, I would go through the direct instruction. Anyone at this stage in career ed, or anyone taking career ed, could break from what they're normally working on, work on their portfolio pieces at this time while it's fresh in their mind. And then for everyone else, although it's pertinent information and they're probably going to need to take career ed, especially if they're new to our program as it's a required course, because it's an independent study structure, they're going to need that time to go back and work on their regular coursework, whether it's U.S. history, world history, civics, anything social studies that I'm in charge of. So on the first day, I've got the introduction, which is the directions and the basics of a portfolio. I've used my projector. I've also got a portfolio handout packet, which I'll upload as a separate file. And then again, these videos are linked on my website so that any student who's absent for that day, who would like more time to review it, or any student that gets to this section, I can just send them to my website and have them watch the videos that I've created. And then I'd also give them the handout packet as well. So day 2 would just be introduction, basic directions of the portfolio. Day 2 we'd be covering writing a cover letter. Again, I'd use my PowerPoint that I've got, and we'd just go through the components of a cover letter. In the PowerPoint, I've taken screenshots of the various components of a cover letter, like the headings and the different paragraphs, and put them into the PowerPoint so they could see specific examples. And I figured it would be nice to have students maybe come up and write or just say aloud some examples of some things to write, or how they would structure a sentence in a cover letter to make them just sound more professional. And then again, they would either be working on their cover letter for the remainder of that hour, or going back to the regular coursework. And then the link is provided here as well to get back to that cover letter individual video for those who need it. Day 3, we talk about writing a resume. I would show some different examples of resumes. They'd also be included in the handout packet. And then the thing that I'd like to hone in on here is writing the job duty examples. I'd like them to do it because this is probably the hardest part of creating a resume, deciding how you're going to say what you've done in your previous jobs that you've held. And so I would actually have some students come up and handwrite some examples on the board for me so that they could practice, and we'd have more student-led teaching at that point. I'd answer any questions or clarify any confusion that students would have about the resume, and then I'd turn them loose to work on it and help them on an individual basis, again, or other students would be working on the regular coursework. And then there's video links here for the creating a resume PowerPoint that I'd use, and then I've also developed a screencast of how to use Microsoft Word's resume templates so that students can understand how to open that up to a pre-formatted template. The fourth day we would cover reference page, again, I've got another PowerPoint for that we would go through. The reference page is a little bit more straightforward, so it wouldn't take quite as long. I'd just explain the purpose of a references page, who would make a good reference, who wouldn't, any questions that students have, and they typically don't when it comes to the reference page. I would clarify there. And then again, students would be working on this reference page or going back to their regular coursework, with the video being linked on my website so that any absent students or any students coming in late to my class signing up for career ed midway through the semester, which is very common, would be able to access this information. Because this is a process, I require a flawless portfolio, and so students turn in a draft, I correct it, I give it back, they correct it, they give it back, and we do that until it's error-free. I want them to be able to take this with them when they leave the class and or graduate our program, so that they have a resume ready to go. So typically students get a pretty good grade because I grade the end result. I do look at the process, and if they're missing things that I've offered suggestions and made corrections on, if they're still missing those things, I might mark them down a little bit, but typically students come out with an A, sometimes a high B. So there's not a clear rubric or anything for this assessment. Because it is theirs to use, and so I help them make it so that it's ready to go when they're done with this class. So just wrapping up, I'm feeling a lot better about this whole portfolio project, and I'm actually looking to integrate maybe some of the mini lesson plans here coming up soon, because I do have some students getting to that point where they're going to be doing a portfolio. I've already had a few students use my video links on my webpage, and had some good feedback on that. So I'm anxious to see how it pans out. Hope my hard work pays off and is helpful to my students. For anybody interested, all my information is found on my web address, my website here, under courses and career ed. So you can get to that either through the previous project website link we did in Moodle, or I'll post this PowerPoint separate by itself so that you can go through it. If you'd like to test out, go to the links that way instead of actually going to my PowerPoint or going back and finding my website. You can just use the links here that are in this PowerPoint. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm glad I got the opportunity to go through and clean up this project that my students are doing, because I needed to do it for class, and it was good, and I am just anxious to use it more and get some more good feedback from my students. So thanks for watching my video here about my project. Hope you enjoyed it, and appreciate the feedback and any questions or comments you've got for me.